welcome K-Up with the rising of the she.
Come on, come on, come on. The rising of the she. We were going to say, we were going to actually name it. We were going to name it, what was it? Giving rise to the she. But then we thought that how can we give rise to the she? She's coming ferociously, whether you like it or not. You got to move out of the way if you don't like it, because she is rising. And that's the bride. And what we have to tell you in this church will help you come into fullness and wholeness. Sorry, I keep forgetting. I can't believe I forget to take it. I mean, I'm getting used to it. So cool. Okay, so yeah, just understand that this message will close everything, every missing link, every place where you have felt like something is missing. This message is going to bring wholeness. You know, God promised me from the beginning of this year, He said, Kirby, I'm going to deal with systemic stuff. I didn't understand what it meant. I heard, you know, when I hear God, I hear it very, very clearly. And He said, I'm dealing with systemic stuff. Because, you know, I pray before the beginning of the year, Lord, what are you going to do this year? What's the next year like? And so, although I don't prophesy, he does speak to me about a lot of things. And so he said, systemic stuff. I'm dealing with the systemic. And so, why systemic? Because you will realize that unless you understand to apprehend, be whole, be one with who God is, the very image of God, you will see that your life is in imbalance. Do you understand it? And the whole idea is to bring wholesomeness, a holistic image of God into your life. Because we say, you know, we are created in the image of God, and what God is restoring on the earth is the image of God. That's what He's restoring on the earth, the image of God. But if you look at Christianity after Augustine, okay, you'll realize that after Augustine, Christianity, the image of God is what has got perverted. The image of God. The problem that in the Old Testament about idol worship, just understand it. When you see why He doesn't want us to idol worship is because there's a distortion about the image of God in the context of fracturing. Not in the context that it's another God. In the context of it's a fractured part of God. It's not whole. Do you understand that? It's not whole. They're worshiping one aspect. That's why He said, you cannot put me into one aspect. I'm very holistic. You understand that? So what we are restoring and what God wants to restore on the earth is the holistic image of God. And once you start allowing it, okay, these are not things that you believe. I don't like the Pentecostal Protestant version of what they say, oh, just believe. You know, I don't like that, because the believing in the context of Jesus has nothing to do with that. The believing was very different. The believing was allow the word to come to you, allow the struggle to happen with you. You understand that? Allow the process of the word to bathe you. It washes you. You understand it? We got soldiers today who say, I believe, and they do it, but they don't actually understand. Understanding needs to come in. People believe without any kind of understanding. It's a disaster. You understand? What we need is understanding. Knowledge. The whole earth is full of the knowledge of the glory of God. The knowledge. What I'm releasing to you in this season and in every season is the knowledge. Once you get the knowledge, something shifts, something changes, okay? And believe me, your marriages will shift. I'm doing this still mystical marriage. That means you can understand how exhaustive this is going to be. And I say exhaustive in a good way. Okay, when I say exhaustive for Kirby Landroll, it means I'm going to get a lot, okay? That means it's going to be full, okay? And so, yeah, it's going to be very comprehensive, okay? We're going to look at it from every single aspect. And so I'm just dealing with the beginning and where we messed up in the beginning. And I showed you yesterday a woman at the well. I was talking to my USA and Canada page and talking about a woman at the well. And we've been so let me say, confused about this story, because there's a woman at the well. She comes to the well. In chapter 4, John 4:9, I say Fiona realized it last time when she was talking, there are brackets there, okay? And the brackets there says, in the brackets it says, because Jews had no dealings with Samaritans. That's in brackets. That means it was never there. That means because they couldn't put it in the full context. The problem was that there was a woman at the well, a woman. The disciples come and they realize that he's speaking to a woman. Do you understand that? She says, what are you doing? You being a Jewish rabbi speaking to a woman. Because a Jewish rabbi, remember the Jews, they are the ones that this happened to, where the image of God got deconstructed. So they understood, I don't know whether it's true or not, I must find this out. They had a prayer, they saying, I thank God that I'm not a Jew, not a dog, not a woman, or not a Samaritan. And here's one with both. Did I say that right? Not a woman, not a dog, not a Samaritan. You understand that? So I'm not saying there's no problems with Samaritans. Of course there is. But this now has got a double jeopardy right here. Do you understand that? And her emphasis was that she is a woman. And she, I say, is the original feminist. That was the movement. You understand that? I'm not saying feminist in this way that it has become today, where people want to overpower masculinity. It's not about that. The struggle shouldn't be there. The two should work together. So that's the type of feminism I'm talking about. But she was the original feminist because she goes back and she tells a city, I met a man. You see her emphasis. I met a man who told me everything I had established. The word there, did, is established. That means she was a powerhouse. You can understand, you let Fiona in. I mean, from the time I've known her, with all her friends, I mean, she was a powerhouse. There was, like she said, you try to bring her down, you will get beaten up at the least. All her friends will beat you up. And all guys. Okay? No, that's true. I promise you. Those days she'll go around with 10 guys. Okay? I have nothing to worry about. She goes out on Friday. I come back home Saturday night. She comes back home Monday or Tuesday. With all the boys. You understand that? So, I mean, she is one of those women. This woman was one of those women. You understand that? Because she went back and she said, I met a man, a real man. That's what she meant. I met a real man. Not like you guys, a real man. Who told me everything I've been telling you before, that it was all true. That everything I established. That's what she said. She was the original feminist. Because he says, hey, woman, where's your husband? The word husband in the Jewish context was a very valuable word. You think people like Boaz when you talk of husband. Boaz was the husband, the wonderful husband, the epitome of a husband. So he said, where is your husband? His question was that. Husband was a valued person, a person who was so full of integrity, value. That was a husband in the Old Testament. So when he says, where is your husband? She says, those guys? Husband? You crazy? None of them are husbands. That's what she said. And he said, you speak truth. That's what he said. He said, because you know what? All of them, they were just users. They had no ability to be a husband. That was the discussion at the well. And that's how he said, do you know that God also, he says, yeah, what are you doing speaking to a woman? Do you know that God also has a feminine nature in him? And that's the word spirit, ruach. Do you understand that? That's when she said, whoa, are you serious? Are you serious? He said, I can go and win a city on this type of gospel. And she left and she said, are you serious? God is also, really? Man and woman? I was never told that. You are a man talking to a woman. He said, yeah, of course. Do you not know that God is? Yeah, a bit hard. Yeah. Don't you know that God is also a woman? Spirit is feminine. When you understand that ruach is feminine, that's what he's explaining. Do you know that God also has male and female? And he's like, really? Wow. And then he says, and that the whole world will not worship in that temple anymore. That whole world shall not worship here anymore. But you shall worship the Lord in spirit. The word spirit is that Shekinah. Shekinah was always a feminine gender. You understand that? So guys, get in touch with your Shekinah. If Ramya was here, she would say, Shaka. Get in touch with your Shaka, man. The problem is, why we can't be intimate is because your Shaka is missing. You've lost your shaka. So, yeah, what is that? Yeah, I'm telling you. Try and understand the Holy Spirit as feminine gender, and it will blow you away. If you don't understand it, everything changes. And that's why in the Greek, if you do your research, anything I'm telling you, you do your research, man. You do your research. When I speak about this stuff, search on it, look for it. It's there. They do not have a gender when they talk of spirit in the Greek. It's neuter. It's it, he, or she, and they never bothered to ever say she. Can you believe the amount of suppression there was? They never, because King James and not Queen Anne wrote the Bible, they never said she, when they very well could have. And it would have completely been okay. And in fact, the Jews would say, that is exactly right. When Jesus says, God is also a gender spirit. Do you understand that? So once you understand that story, everything changes. Now I'm going to go deep with you. Can I go deep in the Bible? Okay? I'm going to show you something. When you look at Pentecostal, charismatic, Protestant, after Augustine theology, you'll realize that suddenly they said, look, now you have to understand this is how this thing works. Okay? God will have sons. God will have sons. God will have sons. God will have sons. And so we thought it was completely normal. God has sons. And what about daughters? Well, they're on the side. They're just helpers. Okay? But God has only sons. Okay? And we just see this thing throughout the Bible because we were taught like that. But I'm going to show you in the Bible that that's not so. That's not the way God, Jesus, intended it. Turn to Matthew 19, and we'll take it from his mouth straight off. Are you ready? Okay, 2 boys in the house. Come on, guys. You need to cheer this on because I'll tell you, it will free you. It will free you. Now watch this. And your marriage will shift. I can promise you that. Okay? And that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. Okay? Now, here it is. Matthew 19, and this is what Jesus says. Here it is. Now it came to pass when Jesus said, finish in verse 3. We'll take it from verse 3. And the Pharisees also came to him, testing him and saying, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife just for any reason? Because guess what was happening? That's exactly what was happening. For any reason, people were just divorcing, marrying, having 2, 3, 4, whatever. Okay? Listen carefully to what Jesus says. And he answered and said to them, have you not read that he who made them at the, come on, shout it out, at the beginning made them male and female? Okay, now he's trying to establish what? The beginning, the original form of the image of God. Is it there? This is Jesus, okay? If you have a Bible, you see it in red. And he said, for this reason, a man, and this is so important. I always ask the question from the Lord when I'm giving wedding messages, why does it say a man should leave a mother and father to be one with his wife? Why doesn't it say a man and a woman? And I helped God out a bit there. And every time I preach to a woman, I would say, it's a man and a woman shall leave his mother and father to be one. But the Lord in this season arrested me on that and said, no, you've got to look at that. Why does Jesus, the Son of Man, okay, the bridegroom, he calls himself, you see, say that a man shall leave his mother and father to be one with his wife, you see? And he's trying to say in the beginning, this is the call, guys. This is all about God. God is looking for a wife. That's the whole story. If you miss that story, you lose your identity. He says, no, from the beginning, it wasn't God was looking for wives. God was looking for that one person that will steal his heart away. That's what he's saying. Do you understand that? He's saying that this is the most important story, that one person. And he said, and from the beginning, this was the story, that a man shall leave his mother and father to become one with his wife. And then, guess what will happen? The two shall become one flesh. Is it there? Isn't it cool? Okay? So then, they are no longer two. Is it there? But one flesh. Therefore, and what God has joined together, let no man separate. So this is a big deal for God. Can you believe it that God, Jesus Christ is quoting from Genesis and giving this story because this is a big deal. Then they said to him, why then did Moses, so they bring all the guys who suppressed, repressed, oppressed. Moses wrote Moses wrote, they say, it's questionable, okay, the first 5 books. So they naturally thought, let's go to our comfort zone. Moses. Let me do as my pastor does, or my previous pastor, not this pastor, my previous pastor did. Or what I was taught in this institution or that institution. So same thing, huh? And then, what does he say? Very, very interesting. I love this because it sets the pace for the story. And if you're uncomfortable, it's because this might be the problem, okay? And guys, you might get a bit uncomfortable with this message. That's okay. That means God is dealing with your heart, okay? It's very important to see it. And he said, what? But Moses said, he said to them, Moses, because of the hardness of their hearts. Stop there for a moment. What happened? The hardness of their hearts. Wanted, multiple, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever they want. That was called hard hearts. But what did Jesus come and do? He sensitized our hearts. He circumcised our hearts in the New Testament. So that means our hearts are not hardened anymore. And we can see this because, Moses did it because of the hardness of their hearts. Wow. He permitted divorce in your wife, but from the beginning, does he say it again? But say from the beginning. Say it again, from the beginning. From the beginning, was not so. Did you just get it? It is not so. What did he say? Don't you know that man is both male and female? And all we heard was Father, Son, Father, Son, Father, Son, Father, Son. Okay, even when Moses wrote, it was Father, Son. He's questioning what Moses wrote here, saying that was because of the hardness of heart. Jesus is questioning, so we have a right to question. Okay, when we say begot, and he put all boys there, who wrote that? Moses. Jesus is questioning that and saying, well, he wrote like that because of you guys. It's all to do with you guys. Your hearts were hard. But from the beginning, that means go back to Genesis, he says, and you will see that that's not so. So let's go back to Genesis and see whether it was like that. Okay, are you ready? Okay, so turn all the way back to Genesis. Let's go to what Jesus says. Let's go back into the beginning to see what it was like. Are you ready? Okay, so chapter 1, okay, we see the image of God. Listen carefully. So, 6th day, so God created in verse, where are we? 26, yeah, maybe around 27. God created man in his image. Is it there? Come on, I can't hear you guys. Is it there? You got to get this. You got to get this. Because this image has been twisted, contorted, perverted. God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. We can even stop the service and go home there. Because if you get that, everything changes in your life. Male and female, he created them. Jesus said, well, in the beginning, it was not so. So let's go back into the beginning. How I was there in the beginning. I was the son who created everything with God in the beginning. Let me create it in the beginning. It was not so because the men's hearts were hard. But originally, the image of God that I'm trying to restore onto the earth was male and female. Hey guys, don't you know that Adam messed up? Don't you know that Noah messed up? Do you know that Moses messed up? Do you know that I've come to restore things in the way it was supposed to be in the beginning? I've come so that she will arise. That's why I came. I came to look for someone who's just like me. Come on. That's what Jesus says. I know for sure. I'm looking for a companion, he says. And I'll show it to you in the Bible. I'm looking for a companion. But I looked all over, to and fro, all the earth. But I can only find her who's just like me. Do you understand that? He's coming because he wants us to know that the two shall make one. He wants us to understand the restoration of the divine feminine is the last day restoration. Is. We cannot birth without it. How did we get to Father, Son, Father, Son, Father, Son without understanding Father, Mother, Son? When you look at the story of Jesus, he says it very clearly. He says, the Holy Spirit shall come upon you, the womb of God. The Father shall overshadow you, and out of you will now come the Son. How did we miss that the Holy Spirit there meant the feminine? How did we miss it? But somehow, because it's systemically and deeply ingrained in us, we somehow missed it. Constantly, Jesus talks about the helper will come. And when the helper comes, he will reveal to you all things. She needs to come. If she doesn't come, you won't know me. Before the tabernacle, just understand this, before they went into the tabernacle, look how many times it says that the ladies were before the gates of the tabernacle. That means before the priests enter in were the girls, were all the ladies. Just understand this, that when they wanted the bronze laver, and you heard me say the story, where the priests themselves will wash their hands in, do you know where they got the bronze laver from? The bronze laver or the bronze bowl was the mirror, was the water that the priest would come and look at themselves in. Read carefully the Bible. The priests had to ask for the mirrors that were with the girls. They're the ones who have the mirrors. And they gave their mirrors to the priests so that they can mold a bronze bowl so that when the priest goes and looks at it, like in the beginning, when the Spirit of God, Ruach, again, feminine, right in the first verse of the Bible, was hovering on the water, that they would be able to see the reflection of themselves, and they would be able to sing the song of Adam again, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, she looks just like me. That's why they borrowed it from the ladies. And you see this constantly and continuously, the restoration of Eve. The scandal that came upon her life. Right from the beginning, it was the separation. Everyone preached it. We knew something was wrong when we heard it. When we went into school, we went to Protestant schools, we listened to it. And I from that time, I knew something's not right here. Because the Bible can't be separating man from woman like that, putting the blame game. And it was okay. In this book, it doesn't talk of that story. It talks of a beautiful story, and I'll show you the story. And here it is. Right there, in the beginning, the Spirit, the Ruach, the feminine nature hovered over the waters, and then you see God creating. God said, the light came, spoke, and the seed and the womb worked together. And then there was creation. That's how it always happened. Ruach was always, Shekinah was always a feminine gender, till you got it translated into the English. And so we are all missing something. And unless we preach it, you will know that when you relate with the Holy Spirit, that you are relating with the divine feminine of God himself. And once you know that, believe me, miracles will shift, because you understand that's the womb, you have the seed, you speak, and it creates. You need the hovering. Jesus himself looked at Jerusalem and used the same words when he looked at Jerusalem, and he said, I would love to hover over you like a mother hen hovers over a city. You understand that Jesus, he's talking like that so that we understand that that's exactly what is happening with the Holy Spirit. The Shekinah comes and indwells and covers and hovers over us. Now, listen to this. Very interesting. Are you ready? You guys are very quiet. I can only go deep if you want it. Yeah, if you want it, I can go really deep today, because Tuesday is transcend. If you're here on a Tuesday, it's transcend. It's about deep, okay? So I need to be able to show you in the Word. Sunday is just fundamentals. Tuesday, I want to take you into this Word and show you a few things that will blow you away. Are you guys ready? Yeah? Okay. Because you can't be quiet on this stuff. This stuff needs to be cheered and celebrated. Okay? Are you ready? Okay. Now, watch this. So, he created them in the image of God, both male and female. Okay? Is that right? Okay. Now watch this, okay? Once you have got that understanding, he creates man, and he looks at man in the image of God, both male and female, and that's in verse 27, okay? And by the time he comes to verse 31, I want you to see this. Then God saw everything that he created. Is it there? And indeed, it was very good. Is it there? So the evening and the morning was the sixth day. So he looked at everything that he created, and he said it was, every day he said it was good, it was good, it was good, it was good. He created man in his image, both male and female, and he said, whew, this is very good. Okay? And now things are very good. But the process of creation is still happening. Because on the seventh day, he creates the rest. Then he takes man from the dust of the ground. See, the process of creation is still happening. And then out of the rib of man, out of the heart, he looks at every creature. Now watch this. This is so important. And that's why I said, right in chapter 2, we get this statement. Listen carefully. Verse 18 in chapter 2. And the Lord God said, now everything was good, right? Good, good, good. 6 goods. Till he gets to very good. And then he says this word, so it means polarized. And this is a warning. And this is where things can go wrong. Because everything is good, 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 good. Till he looks at now man that he's created. Now he's about to create in his image. He's not finished. It's not like he created man and said, oh, that's it, and then he was an afterthought, oh, let me create woman. No. He's creating in spirit. Then he pulled him off the dust of the ground, and now he's about to create woman, but before that, he gives the caveat. And here's the caveat the caveat for everybody. Okay? The caveat. He says, it is not good. It is not good for man to ever work alone. That's what he's saying. It is not good. Come on, man. This is the story of my life, I'll tell you. It is not good. Trust me, it is not good for Kirby to create on his own. He puts a caveat just before he creates woman. Come on, so powerful. It is not good. Not good for this creator being now to create on his own. Okay? And that is so important to understand. Once you understand it, it is not good that man should be alone. Okay, now, that's what he means, separated. He says, I will make him a helper. And people stop at helper. Oh, he's just a helper. Oh, she's going to come and wait on him. No. Here is the word. I'm going to make him a helper. And word helper is the same word for Holy Spirit. Come on, that's the only other place it's used. Helper. Shekinah, Ruach. Eve, the helper. But the helper is the word here. Now get this. Comparable to him. That word means helper is going to be equal to him. Man, I think we should, come on, that needs a good cheer. Come on, that needs a cheer. I need a helper, not who's lesser than me, not who needs for me to dignify or bring up or teach. I need a helper. I'm telling you, I've got a helper who is just like me. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Her name is Fiona. She's just like me. Now, let's go and create the world. You're beautiful, Fiona. That's right. You understand? Just like me. And when you get that, everything shifts. You understand it? I don't need to help you. I don't need to protect you. I don't need to know. You are just like me. As much as I can protect you, you will protect me. Do you understand that? As much as I can lift you, you will lift me. Or she might lift me double. She's stronger than me. Do you understand that? This is equality. And I want you to see it because he explains it, and I don't know how we missed it, but here it is, and thank God that we get it even now. Out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. Is it there? And then he goes on, he says, but there was no one comparable among them to him. That means there was no equal there. Comparable means there's no equality there. Of course not. So he says, out of the ground he made everything else, but for man, he needs to make something equal. The mirror image, just like he was in the beginning when the Ruach HaKadosh was on the water and he was mirroring the spirit, the female, the feminine gender was mirrored. I'm going to make a mirror image of you. And then he pulls her out of the very heart of man. Of the rib means the pillar that holds the structure together. And he creates her. And that doesn't mean man is a leader, or that doesn't mean that man is the head in the way you think. Or I thought. You understand that? It means that now she is created from the very reflecting of man. Like God came, like God, spirit is of God. So woman is of man. That means they're equal. Because comparable means now here there is equality. Come on, Jesus. Isn't that cool? And so there was someone made exactly equal. And when he saw that she was, he confirmed and said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. And here it is. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Therefore man shall live. Now here we go. And this is the prophecy of Jesus Christ. He said, now this will be the story of every son of God. This is your story. You understand? And not for men, even for the women. This is your story. You are a son of God. You understand? As much as you are both, you're both male and female. So what do? We go and get ourselves a bride. A woman who becomes mature functions as a son, and she gets herself a bride because the bride is the church. Fiona's got her bride. She's both male and female, and she gets her bride in you. You understand that? That's how it works. And so therefore now, a man shall leave his mother and father to be one with the beautiful bride. And that's you in a collective. Individual and collective. It's dimensional. You understand it? And that's where it is. And this story, a man shall leave his mother and father to be one with his wife, one with his bride, is what Jesus spoke about. He said in the beginning, it was only one where a man would leave everything to get her. He said, guys, I've come to get her. I've come to restore the divine feminine. Guys, that's the reason I came as a man. I didn't come as a woman because the man doesn't need to be restored. The injustice, he loves fairness. What was suppressed and oppressed right in the beginning in the garden, what was scandalized, was the divine feminine. So I've come to restore her back to her glory. And that should be our job as well as WOWLife Church. Did you just get it? That should be our doctrine as well, that a man will leave his mother and father to be one. You got it? Yes. Isn't it cool? Come on. This is so cool. And so when you see it like that, it changes everything. Now, can I show you something? Okay? Yeah. So, guess what happened? There was scandal brought in. There was offense brought in. There was dishonor brought in. Okay? And from that time onwards, there was oppression and suppression brought in. And man's image, God's image, got perverted and corrupted. And because of that, God now wants to do something about it. And in chapter 6, this is a crazy story. Forgive me, I've not read the book of Enoch in full. I read parts of it. I'm going to read it very, very soon. But the book of Enoch gives more of the story, but the fact of the matter is, I don't even need to read the book of Enoch to find out something here. Because in chapter 6, you see the restoration process of God when it says this. Now listen to the prophetic word here. Chapter 6. And it's so deep and it's so mystical. I can't go into it fully here. But you will see, if you love the mystical and you love the mysteries, you'll see the mystery as I talk now, okay? You'll see it and you'll want to find it. And that's what I'm like. When Prophet Kirby used to preach and I know he's got something more, I'll just go and forage all that kind of stuff and I'll get it. Before he preaches next, I know exactly where he's going. But watch this one. Chapter 6. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth. Okay? He's giving you a parabolic teaching. It can be historical. We don't know. But it's awesome. Listen carefully. When men happened to multiply on the face of the earth. Is it there? Chapter 6, Genesis, okay? And the daughters were born to them. Wow. Did you see it there? Okay? Listen carefully. And the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were very beautiful. Did you just see it there? What was your call? He says, Jesus came as the Son of God. And what did he say? Hey, this is a story from the beginning. In the beginning, man's heart wasn't hard. That they wanted, the sons of God knew that they should take daughters of men, so that two shall become one. You understand? And you must understand that these beings, we don't know, it's mystical. These beings, we don't know who they are. But they had understood something. And they saw the daughters of men. And they said, hey, we're going to take these as our wives. And he says, they saw the daughters of men, and that they were very beautiful. And they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. Wow, what a setting. Man, are you feeling this? Are you feeling this? This is deep stuff. Okay? That's crazy that that's there. Do you understand what's happening? A restoration process, but it's not God, but it's these other beings. We don't know who these guys are. They're called the sons of God. Some people call them the Nephilim. But they were doing what God wanted himself to do. I don't think they're doing it on his instruction. I'm not sure. I had to find out. I'm sure God will reveal more. But they were doing what the prophetic word called to become one. You understand that? But there was something that was wrong. And he realized, and I don't see God castigating the sons of God here, but more of a rebuke to the fathers of the daughters. Wow. You see, the fathers of the daughters who were giving them in marriage, that, you see the story here, historically, is surrounding these women who were given in marriage. You had to be given in marriage. But the problem was the men, and so the generations after Adam were giving their daughters to the sons of God. You see? And so it's awesome. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man. You see, not the sons of God. He's not rebuking the sons of God here. His problem is with men. My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he has become flesh. You see? And so there was a problem there, right there. And if you see it, you will understand it, because we are about to come into the days of Noah. And when you understand, are you ready for transcend? Yes. Are you ready for transcend? Yes. Because we are about to transcend. We are about to go deep on this stuff, okay? That's why you're here on a Tuesday. Otherwise, Sunday is very simple, okay? You see, we are about to come into the days of Noah. What does Noah mean? Rest, Sabbath, 7th generation. Now, what did Jesus say about the days of Noah? And then you understand that there's a spin in this. He said about the days of Noah, he said something like this. He said, as in the days of Noah, men will be eating and drinking and giving themselves in marriage. Wow. That's what he's talking about. The days of Noah is dawned on us. That means somehow there was a perversion in the way they were now marrying. Because he said, man's heart has now got hard. And I have a funny feeling, I'm not sure, I can't nail it, but I think that by this time there was polygamy. I'm not sure. The way it was done, that intimate relationship, that the two shall become one, something had shifted. And there were the fathers of the daughters who were just giving out their daughters to be married in ways that God's heart was, not happy. He was unhappy. Something was not right, because they were just giving them away, even to these beautiful daughters, even to these creatures, these beings, I don't know. Read the book of Enoch. It talks about who these beings are. And they were just giving them away without any type of intimacy, because man's heart has got hard. And God is all about restoring the divine feminine. You see throughout the Bible the story of restoration. And so now Noah is sent. And when Noah is sent, when you see this, it's quite mind-blowing, because it goes like this. Let me read it to you. Are you ready? Is this interesting? Yeah. This is really interesting. So it says this, that Noah, where are we? Noah was told, because the world at that time had been wicked. Now, we don't know what that wicked looked like, but we have a hint of that wicked, that the daughters of men, the main hint that we have about why that generation was wicked, was to do with the daughters of men. And so, because of our systemic, patriarchal understanding, we are thinking that the women had got perverted and sleeping with angels. And that's how it was taught to you. Oh, God. Who told you that? Because that's not what it says. It says they took wives. And in the old tradition, you can't just take wives. It is only the Father. And that's why Jesus says, no one knows when the Son of Man is going to come, because he's representing himself as the bridegroom. And the father is the only person who knows, because he's talking about a Jewish wedding where the engaged bride would go home, and no one will say when the bridegroom will come. Only the father knows when he will send his son. It's the fourth or fifth feast. And then Jesus says, when he talks about the days of Noah and the sons of God and all this kind of stuff, he says the only person who knows when the bridegroom is going to come is the father. And by that time, the bride is covered, betrothed, covered, protected, dignified, not touched, waiting anxiously for the bridegroom to come. And in Matthew 23:24, he's talking about the coming of the bridegroom when he talks about the days of Noah. Come on. So we have a glimpse of what is going on here, that maybe in this season and this time, they were just about giving their daughters out to beings. I don't know. Read the book of Enoch for favors and whatever it is, and you see a bit of that in Sodom and Gomorrah. You understand it? Where this guy easily says, shall I send my daughters out? To beings, to angels. Come on, if you want to go deep with me, I can go deep with you. There's no difference with those angels and these angels who came into a city. And the first thing the father offered is his daughters. And you think, what a horrific story. These guys want to... Come on, man. Those guys, the generation was so perverted, they wanted to have sex with anything. And then at that time he says, here are my daughters. Can this be that story? A story like that? Where marriage, the sanctity of marriage, where the two become one, and the image of God was perverted and distorted. Why? Because these fathers were giving in marriage just like they're doing today. They don't care. There's no intimacy. Do you understand that? There's no restoration of the feminine when they're doing it. They're not bringing dignity back into the feminine when they're doing it. Can it be that? And you see through the Bible, when you see this, that Jesus comes and he says, as in the days of Noah, I will come back, in Matthew 23 and 24. And he's talking about this. It's mind-blowing. And that's when he starts talking about the hardness of heart. And then you see the story of Noah. Do you want to see the story of Noah? Yeah. Okay. Then you see it here. Okay, now watch this. And you'll see when he destroys the earth with a flood, he gives Noah instruction. Now here is the instruction, okay? Crazy stuff, okay? So God tells Noah, chapter 7. So Noah, he tells Noah, okay, in chapter 6, verse 18. He says to build this ark and all that, okay? He says, but I will establish my covenant with you. In chapter 6, verse 18. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall go into your ark. Listen carefully to the instruction. You, your sons, your wife, your sons' wives with you. So he gives them clear instruction. You shall take male and female, and you see there, just below there, you can take into your ark male and female of the birds and the animals. That means you have to take male and female. So you take your wife, male and female, and you take your sons. No, he didn't say that. He didn't just begot your sons. Okay, we're going to just begot sons. I'm going to give you some funny chemistry that you'll just begot sons. No, he said, no, we're going to recreate the world. I'm going to destroy everything. Why? Because of the way they're giving in marriage. Come on. You see, in the way they're giving in marriage, but something is not right here. He says, I'm going to recreate the world. And these stories, if you don't believe me, and if you're watching me on live on TV, you don't have to believe these stories. These are all parabolic. These are psychological stories that will help you. You don't have to believe it to be factual or historical. Yeah, you learn from them. There's no other way to tell you a story unless you're telling a story of somebody. You got it. So here's the story. The amazing story is that now he sends them and he says, now we're going to destroy the earth because I saw what was happening there. The marriage was perverted. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send you back and to create the world, but it's going to be male, female, male, female, male, female. Everybody is going to be male, female again. The image of God is going to be restored on the earth. That was his main reason for destroying the world and giving back a new world that will be male, female. You got it? Like giving the world the perfect image of God. God is both male and female. You understand that? So he wants to restore back the divine feminine. Did you just get that? Isn't it awesome? And so now he sends out. This is so cool. Because he says, now get in. And then he says this in chapter 7, in verse 7. So Noah with his sons, is there, his wife, and his sons' wives, right, went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. So then he said, and then you offered clean animals and unclean birds and everything that creeps on the earth. Sorry, that's my mistake. 2 by 2. Now I want you to see this 2 by 2. Say 2 by 2. This is the key. Say 2 by 2 again. Where have I heard this before? Very strange story. You're going to get somewhere. If you know by now, you know where I'm going. 2 by 2, they went into the ark of Noah. Male, is it there? In verse 9. Male and female. And God commanded Noah. So, in the beginning, the 2 by 2 was male and female. Is it clear there? It can't get distorted now. The 2 by 2 was male and female. Wow. Isn't that cool? And so I want you to understand, when Jesus comes in and he restores the kingdom and the dominion, and he takes 12 disciples, you need to ask the question. Now God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made, listen carefully, the breath, the wind, to pass over. Is it Genesis again? The earth. And the waters subsided, and the fountains of the deep and the windows of heavens were opened, and it started raining. Is it Genesis again? The Ruach now is hovering on the water again. Is it there? Same thing. He's doing it again. And that word spirit there is Ruach, means the feminine now came again, now on the waters. And she's about to now birth the new world. Come on. Isn't it cool? And so it's right there. And in verse 4, then the ark rested on the 7th day. Sabbath. Noah. On the 7th month, on the 7th day, is it there? On Ararat, and he goes on. And then, the story of dove. But the dove found Noah. He took a dove, and he took a raven, and he sent the dove out. And then the dove went out, and then when he found the land that he can rest on, the Son of God, the place, the earth again, he rested on that place. And this wonderful story of the Ruach standing and coming on the land again to recreate. And here it is so good. I love this one. And here it is. And he says that he came to pass on the 6th, in verse 13, and it came to pass on the 601st year, on the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark. And you see that story of the covering, constantly, all the covering, how we are supposed to uncover. And men are supposed to uncover. And Noah now removes his covering. The veil is taken off. And it's such a beautiful example of what is going on now. The spirit hovering, the dove has found its place. The covering of the ark is taken off. Okay? And then God spoke to Noah in verse 15, saying, go out of the ark. Now listen carefully to the instruction. Do you want to see this? Okay? This is the instruction. He says, now go out of the ark, you and your, say it, wife. Do you see the instruction? Go out of the ark, you and your babe, your wife. Come on, Fiona, let's go. We created a new word. The covering has been taken off because God is my covering. That's what Corinthians talk about. Now, the covering of the man has been taken off. Now, the veil has been taken off. Let's go. Let's create a new world. And there again, restored is the divine feminine. And so they're about to take off like that. He says, God spoke to Noah saying, go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons, and then your sons' wives with them. So the boys, all the boys, with their bride, holding hands, they're about to go. Not father, son, father, son, father, son. Father, bride, wife, male, female, boys, male, female. Then the animals will follow. Guess how? Male, female, male, female, male, female, male, female, male, female. Every one of them, male, and they'll come out of the ark. And he's restoring back the image of God on the earth. Isn't it cool? That was the story. But guess what Noah did? And that's why God said, the man's heart is always deceptive. And it's evil from the beginning. And, you know, the blessing that was given to Adam and Eve was be fruitful, multiply, and subdue the earth. And he gives a similar blessing, but you'll see that the blessing that he gives Noah once he does this, because what did Noah do? Boys, let's go. Typical guy. Okay? Typical guy. And he got out from the boat with his sons. And you know the story about the covering and the sons and the whole thing. I won't tell you the story. Okay? It all goes into pieces. And the covering, if you know the story, no, I won't go down there, but it's deep. Okay? But he goes on to say that so Noah went out. Look at this guy. God says, go out with your wife, man, and tell your sons to go out with their wives. And then take the animals and tell them to go out with their wives. What did he say? He said, boys, let's go. So Noah went out, and his sons, and then his wife, and then the sons' wives. Come on, man. Did you just see that there? Something's not right. Okay? And then, this is what God says in verse 21. And he gave a sacrifice, and he's so happy, and he's given a sacrifice. And then the Lord says something very interesting. I thought that you were the righteous one. I thought that everything's going to be okay from now. I thought that the world can be a better place. But you know what? He says this. The Lord smelled the soothing aroma. And the Lord said in his heart, he said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake. Although, Noah, your imagination and man's heart is evil from the beginning. You see that? That's how he responded to the offering. He says, man, come on, man. We thought we could do this together. It looks like I'll have to send my only begotten son who'll do a good job. I can't leave it up to you. And he says, though your heart and your imagination is evil from the beginning. And then he pronounces something. And if you see this, guys, can we have that there? I want them to see this. And people miss this. But you're going to go into, no, can I have it in the translation? I sent it to you guys on the media team. Did you get it? That's okay. But can you put it up? Yeah. Put it up. They need to know it's there. Okay. And then God pronounces, once he says this, he pronounces this. And look at what he pronounces. And this is so cool. I will stop here. You see that there? Okay. So he says, as long as, okay. That's okay, it was there. That was right there. It was right there. Just go at the bottom to the bottom of this page. Yeah. No, that's right. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure. Yeah. No pressure. We're all waiting though. Come on. Keep going. Okay. Okay. As long. Listen carefully. This is what he pronounces. As long as the earth endures. And what is the word earth there? Mother. You see that? Feminine. You see that? That's very important you to get. We didn't get Mother Earth from the New Age world. We got Mother Earth from the Bible. Okay? As long as I know what you did, you didn't take your mother out. But I can tell you this, though man's heart is evil from the beginning, I can promise you this, that the mother will always be there. That's what he says, that as long as the earth endures, that's a feminine singular, seed time and harvest time will be there. What's the next one? Cold and heat. What is he trying to show? Balance. Balance. Male and female. I know you didn't do it, Noah. That's okay. No big deal. Your hearts are wicked from the beginning. I told you to step out with your wife. I told you to take male and female. But don't worry. The ways I work, it will always be there. There will always be cold, hot, black, white, male, female. Always. And then he pronounces that. And once he pronounces that, now he gives Noah a blessing and also a curse because of the imbalance. Now listen carefully to the curse, okay? And this is where everything shifts. And that's why I'm trying to say, guys, we're going to end here. This is where, can we have bands? Can I have you up? You see, this is where, why, when we produce, he wanted to change the curse of the earth. He wanted to change the way things respond to us. He wanted the creation to respond to us. He wanted things again to come into alignment again. But we couldn't bring things in alignment because of the hardness of our heart. And we still can't, can we? We can't bring things into balance because of our hardness of our heart, because we want to be superior. We want to subdue. We want to bring everything unto submission. You see, in the beginning, Adam and Eve was given all the animals, everyone, and he could even speak to the animals. And they had complete reconciliation with the whole creation which was responding. Romans 8 was saying that when the Son of Man, when the bridegroom finally comes, he's going to bring back everything into reconciliation again. But because Noah could not do what God called him to do, he says, don't worry, the earth will always have this, male and female, black and white, hot and cold. Don't worry about no. That's going to be there. But let me tell you this. I'm going to bless you, but I'm going to tell you because of your imbalance, there's going to be imbalance. And this is what he says. Listen carefully. And God blessed Noah and his sons. You see, the sons, and said to them, be fruitful, multiply, same blessing, but slightly different, and fill the earth. Now listen carefully. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth and of every bird of the air. Is it there? Is it there? That means now you are going to get killed in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle, boys. Okay? There's imbalance. So nothing's going to respond to you anymore. Everything is going to try and kill you now. That's what he says. There'll be fear and dread. And then he goes and he literally tells the animals as well. He says, now, remember the story when there was a curse on men? And he says, now man will kill Cain. Did you remember? He said, now man, when he sees Cain, will kill Cain. He gives the same sort of curse to them. And he said, now when an animal sees you, they're going to kill you. But I promise you, I will reckon their blood. And he said, whoever shed man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For the image of God, he made man. Listen carefully why he's saying that. Because he said, I made you in my image. As for you, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. And he says, even if an animal sheds your blood, I will reckon it unto them that they have shed a man's blood, because they shouldn't touch the image, the full image that I created man in. Do you understand that? And he said, but you have touched it, and therefore the world will not respond to you correctly. Come on, isn't that awesome? Did you see the full story there? Isn't that a mind-blowing story? I mean, when God revealed this stuff to me, I was like, God, this is just amazing. But it was amazing because it's protection. When you get balanced in your life, the whole creation responds in the right way. You're worried of coronavirus and worried of this sickness and that sickness and all that. Maybe there can be imbalance. They can bring that kind of stuff. I know this kind of stuff because I thank God for the journey I've come on. I was a rough, tough guy. I was hardly a feminist. I thought I ruled the world and rule everything in it. Man, woman, beast, everything. Do you understand that? Till God humbled me and brought me a woman who was just like me. And I remember one day, Fiona and I were so ruthless. I was so ruthless and brutal that I was a mafia guy. I would beat people up in my own hands, and so I would have no problem with my own wife. Until one day I was leaving, and the Lord said, he told me, he said, Kirby, when? I said, Lord, you know what? I thought marriage is, people say marriage is a two-way street. I give, she gives. I give, she gives. And he said, Kirby, what you don't understand is that man shall leave his mother and father to be one with his wife. I didn't say woman there. I said man. That means now, boys, I've given you the earth so that your job on the earth is to restore the bride. They've been oppressed. They've been suppressed, systemically trampled, never given the chance to lead. Your job, Kirby, you're so strong in everything. He says, now you're supposed to go back and submit to her. And that's when I completely stopped preaching. I completely stopped. And after I became a pastor after that. But if you understand anything about Fiona, there's so many times that she leads me. So many times that she would lead me. So many times, if I didn't submit to her wisdom, and we're going to talk about wisdom, and you'll see it in the Bible, wisdom is the divine feminine. It's very interesting. We've got the force. We've got the power. We've got the brawn. But we don't surely have the brains. You understand that? If you're a single guy, tap into the divine feminine inside of you. It's in the spirit inside of you is the divine feminine, the wisdom. You lose otherwise. And I started understanding, my God, this submit to man story that they completely teach. You have to watch it in the previous verse where it says, submit to one another. And husband, love your wife like Christ loved the church. And said, this is the greatest mystery of all the earth. The man shall leave his mother and father to be one. He says, now you have been given the opportunity to become one. How? Love your bride like Christ loved the church and gave himself and died and gave himself completely for her. Man, girls, I hope you're putting some extra cash in the offering today. Do you understand that? And so you are being given an opportunity to be able to restore the bride. What an opportunity. It is the work of God itself. He considers it the most wholesome thing that you can ever do. He actually destroyed the world because men did not know to do that. Come on. Okay. What is that? Full image of God. Full image of God. Full image of God. Bless you guys. I'll see you on Sunday.